Fire away. And we're back. Another episode of Squeeze the Juice. College football week 12. And boy, it is going to be a fun one today, sir. Evan, how we feeling?
We're feeling great. A solid week for me. Positive in college football, 3-2. Nothing to brag about, but nothing to be sad about either. Nicely done for me. You, on the other hand, 2-3. You went under 500 for the first time in a while, so you can't be too mad. Can't beat yourself up too big.
That is a fraud record.
It looks very good to me.
Fraud record.
Justin is now 28, 22, and 2 overall in college football. I'm 25, 27, and 2 overall.
Fraud.
I'm right there. Right there at 500. It's been a long climb, but we've been stacking, and we're almost there.
Fraud.
Justin's upset, and I'll get to it in a moment here. Let's first talk about Penn State, Michigan. 2 takeaways for me in that one. Drew Aller is
not the guy.
Not the guy.
Hype
I was
train.
wrong. I'll be the first to admit it. I bought into Aller, and the stock is about 5 cents a share. It's over. It's over for Drew Aller, at least this season. Maybe he has a nice bounce back year next year, but you cannot be too encouraged if you're a Penn State fan. They just cannot get over the hump. This was the year that they were going to beat Michigan in Happy Valley. You had the quarterback, you had the run game, you had the defense, you had the offensive line. Everything was building up for this victory, and they just fell short completely.
Did they fire their OC?
They did fire their OC.
Okay, so scapegoat. Shout out James Franklin. There's your scapegoat.
Yep, there's your scapegoat. Yep.
Sad. I don't know. Interesting game.
Well, that was my first takeaway.
Yeah, that's fair. Oh, do you want your second?
I do want my second takeaway.
Go ahead.
J.J. McCarthy should not be invited to New York. He is not a Heisman candidate. When you throw the ball 8 times and you don't throw from 7:41 in the second quarter and on, I don't care if the game plan was working. The fact that you, as the quarterback, were a non-factor in that game, we could have played quarterback for Michigan that day. Because JJ was completely non-existent. He was a ghost. He didn't attempt to pass from 7:41 in the second quarter on.
Shadows.
Shout out to Michigan. It worked. It was a brilliant strategy, but that's not a Heisman contender. That's not a Heisman type of player. I'm sorry. It's just the truth. You want to give the MVP to Patrick Mahomes if in one of the biggest games of the season, he threw the ball 8 times and didn't attempt to pass from there on out. I don't care if they won the game.
They probably would have based on bias, but that's a little different. But
I
don't disagree with you.
I'm just saying, he's not a Heisman player. You look at what Bo Nix is doing, Penix, Jalen Milroe. All right, let's give him some flowers. Carson Beck. I mean, these are guys that are contributing week in, week out for their team, and they need to be elite for their team to succeed. JJ doesn't need to do that, and you saw that because he didn't throw the ball for almost 40 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Do you want my statement?
I want your statement.
I don't think he should be invited to New York either. I don't think he will be. To me, right now, all things aside, I think another loss would hurt it, obviously, because of past comparisons. To me, right now, I don't care what anybody says, personally. Definitely Penix is up there. Bo Nix. I don't think Jalen Milroe, personally. Big name.
Jane Daniels.
That to me is the Heisman right now. Jaden Daniels. You can't come at the record currently because Caleb Williams won it last year. 3 losses. Who was the year before that? I forget who won the Heisman the year before that. 2021. Bryce Young. Didn't he have 3 losses? They have 2. They at least had 2. They lost to Tennessee and they lost to LSU. And they lost to Georgia. So another.
No, he did. That was last year. I'm going 2 years back.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to go back in Heisman's. I'm saying the record of 3 losses shouldn't affect.
I don't think Bama had 3 losses that year.
Are you sure? Because they lost to Tennessee. Oh, was that? Oh, that
they
was
lost
last
to
year.
Georgia in the
My
college
bad. That was
football
last year.
They lost to Georgia.
All I'm saying is that.
So they only had 1 loss. But still, Caleb, you're right. USC did have 3 losses.
Yeah. So Jaden Daniels to me is the Heisman right now. I think realistically talking, it's between Bo Nix and Penix. But yeah, I agree. JJ McCarthy shouldn't be invited. I love the guy, but
he's not that caliber of player.
yeah, no, I don't think he's a Heisman. I think
he's got NFL talent, but just
yeah, he'll work his way out unless because even if somehow he does good this week and then like popped off against Ohio State, I still don't think that should push him to the contention of like Penix and Bo Nix based on the whole season.
He's just not there.
Yeah. And the competition wise, I know how the schedule works. Bo Nix and Penix have been all over. But I will even consider I'd put Marvin Harrison over JJ McCarthy.
Yeah.
If the fourth guy to send there, I think it's to me it's right now would be Penix, Bo Nix, Jane Daniels, and then if you want to throw your fourth, right now I kind of do Marvin Harrison.
First Ohio State wide receiver to have 1,000 yards in back-to-back seasons,
which is crazy, and he needs I think 6 more touchdowns to break the all-time record.
History.
Yeah, it's crazy. History. So I feel like on that alone, you got to give him at least a shot. Right?
I think he'll get invited. Game 2. This is the one where Justin is irate. Washington, Utah. He now hates Utah. He officially hates the Utes because they covered a beautiful 8.5 point spread.
I don't know if I necessarily hate Utah. I can't believe I had 2 shots to win that game to cover that, and it should have been easy. Dude drops the ball at the 2-yard line. No one grabs it, and then at the end of the game, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're up 7. He's about to kick a field goal. I cover by a half a point. Chip shot laces out and it's blocked. I mean, are you kidding me? That is absurd. It is absurd. And that just brings that I couldn't believe that.
You know what? You had it coming for you because you've had a really nice year. You've done well. You were bound to have a game that didn't go your way and that you got screwed.
I wish it was a more bad I wish it was like a pick 6 or something, right? Because you dropping the ball at the goal line.
That's bad.
I mean,
that's bad.
That at least give me a good reason to be okay, kind of okay with being upset.
And
but
I mean, blocked field goal.
Yeah, I mean even that. Yeah, exactly. You had 2 great shots walking in. You were walking into the end zone. I mean, how many times have we seen that? I just had to let it go.
You're good, man.
I couldn't believe it. My dad was laughing at my face.
Good. I needed that. Let's go Utah.
But I am happy with having a positive week, though. I was happy to see that too, because I know you've been waiting for that moment.
I've been waiting for it, but you know what? The funny thing is I'm always against Utah, and of course the game I'm on Utah, it's that game.
Yeah, the crazy. Yeah. You're like, oh my, you're probably stressed too. You're like, oh,
I loved it. Game 3, Missouri, Tennessee. I fell into the sand trap here. Missouri just completely dominated.
Because that flipped, didn't it?
Yeah, it flipped. And you know what? I'm not going to be too upset. I went with my gut. Tennessee, they're just not a good team. And I knew Missouri was the better football team, but I was like, the spread looks weird. Why is Tennessee a favorite on the road? Missouri's they're a good team.
Is it Drinkowitz or whatever? Or something? I don't know what the Missouri's coach's name is or whatever. But he went up to Josh. I don't even know how to say his last name either.
Josh Heupel?
Heupel?
Elijah Drinkowitz?
Yeah, he went. You see, I was right. Okay, so he went up to Josh Heupel and he said something. He's like, "That's how we do business" or something.
Standing on business.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
That's so funny.
Nice cover for you.
Yeah, that was
how about
crazy.
Georgia though? Ole Miss comes in and they get their.
They get rocked.
They got destroyed. I mean, wow. Nothing
dogs.
can be said about the dogs. It's funny. We had a friend. It was like, should I put money on Ole Miss? And I'm like, no. Trust me. No. Saved him some money there. Played the dogs, of course. And then USC, in the late night special, they cover. I mean,
crazy.
Admirable effort from the Trojans. That's a tough. I mean, you're on the road. You're in Autzen. It's not been the season they've wanted, and I know they've lost 4 of their last 5, but look, man, you're still playing hard. It was a 9-point loss. I can't hold it against them. They're fighting. They're trying.
Fight on.
Fight on. I mean, I love that they covered, but I'm just more happy that they're not folding it in. And I feel like that's a good leadership quality in Caleb because as the quarterback, as a guy
Instead
who
of crying
is
to his mom.
Right. I mean, I don't even mind that, but it's more so just like you're the number 1 pick, right? You're going to the NFL. You could easily just mail it in, right? he's still playing hard. He's still fighting for his teammates, and this team is still fighting hard. And that's what you want out of your franchise quarterback.
It's very unfortunate that this team's ceiling is beyond thought, right? This ceiling is, if they had a defense, it'd be insane. Like the ability of this team to have, if they had a defense,
Yeah.
I couldn't even comprehend the kind of games they'd be playing. You know, I think Lincoln Riley really needs to evaluate everything this offseason.
Right. I mean, they have a 5-star quarterback waiting in the wings, so the offense is not going to suffer anytime soon. It's probably just going to pick up right where it left off. But you're right. That defense, especially coming to the Big Ten, you got to be able to play some D. And if you're not going to be able to do that, you're not going to really last long over the course of a Big Ten season.
Especially when you have a little trouble in like kind of just a chilly evening in South Bend. You're going to be playing in some tough environments.
Yeah.
Out west or out east. So
for sure.
Get ready for the snowstorm. Imagine playing a snowstorm in Happy Valley.
Right.
You're coming from USC?
It's December 3rd.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, oh my gosh, are those
not December 3rd?
Is that snow or those
like
people?
Late November, really.
That'd be so funny. Is that snow or those people? Because it's just a whiteout.
Right. You wouldn't know.
That'd be insane.
For real.
Oh,
but
anyway.
That's last week's recap.
Yeah.
I was 3-2, Justin 2-3. We're on to week 12 here. Got some great games for you. Cannot wait to get it going. Justin, kick us off.
Let's run it. The Birds, baby. The Birds. Birds versus Birds. The Louisville Cardinals head down to Miami to the U. The U been on a skid lately. They're 6-4 overall. Only one loss for Louisville. Louisville. Favored by 1.5 on the road. It's a very interesting game because Louisville's, to me, the better team, but Miami, it's in the U, and there's just something suspect about that. I don't know. They're 6-4. They've been on a skid. That Georgia Tech game really just ruined their momentum, and like I feel like in like a psychological point.
Yeah.
But Birds versus Birds. How are we feeling about this one?
The spread is a little wacky, and that's the first thing that jumps out to me. This opened up, I believe, Miami the favorite, or at least to pick them. I'm pretty sure it was something along those lines. It's now jumped out drastically to a 1.5 favoring Louisville. But I don't know how to really feel about this one because the spread is telling me go with Miami. But I feel like I sometimes catch myself doing this where I look at the number and then I just bet the number. Louisville's playing at a much higher level. They've been really good all season long. They've been a really, like, when we think we've doubted them a little bit, when there's maybe just a crevice of maybe a concern or lack of faith in them, 23-0 against Duke, right? They've just been a really solid team all year long. Jeff Brom's done a great job coming back to Louisville and just really establishing a winning culture. And the thing that he did at Purdue, which I thought was impressive, was his team showed up in big games. And this is another big game. They're going to be on the road. I'm going to go with the Cardinals here. Not because I want to, because my gut is telling me go with Miami. But I'm going to put my faith in the team that's been more consistent, that's been better all year long. I know this is a public team. 64% of the public is on Louisville, but look, sometimes, and I did this last week with Tennessee, sometimes I'm not going to get caught up in the number. I'm not going to get caught up in what I feel like Vegas is telling me. I'm just going to look at football. Louisville's a better football team. They got the better coach. I'm going with the Cardinals.
Yeah, it's tough. You think back a couple weeks ago, the suspect moment when Louisville lost to Pitt. And Pitt's just like bottom of the ACC, I believe.
Right, this could be another letdown spot potentially.
Exactly, and so that's always a concern. But I agree. I know they had that kind of a hiccup, but to me, this is a team that just keeps going up. You know, on all sides, their rushing game's good, their throwing game's good. They're good with the momentum of the way they play. You know, they're just good at managing the game well, and that's a huge key.
The only thing I fear before you keep going is they got Kentucky coming into their house next week, and you just get concerned about maybe this is a look-ahead game, right? I mean, that's a rivalry between Kentucky and Louisville.
In-state.
And yeah, the in-state. I mean, that's going to be a bloodbath. And two physical teams, right? Are they looking at that game?
Are they
and kind of
overlooking
this
Miami?
one? That's the only part where I maybe get a little skeptical if you're talking like a football sense, where this is just a look-ahead spot, and Miami is in a prime spot at home to get a bounce-back win here and to really, feel good about something for once.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I agree. I think in this one you just take the better team. So I'm gonna go Louisville.
Okay.
In this one.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a tough one. I don't even have a pick written down. Only I have one written down. I'm just kind of playing it by ear in this one.
The better in me is feeling like Miami's the play, but
I don't disagree with that.
I'm going to catch myself here because I did this with North Carolina too, where I bet Miami over UNC because I thought they were the play, and then they just let me down.
What about Minnesota?
And Minnesota too. Like, I just feel like they're the better play, and then what do you know? They let me down. So sometimes I feel like I just try to outsmart myself. I'm not going to do that here. And if Miami wins, good for them, right?
Yeah.
But we're taking Louisville.
Birds, baby.
We're taking the better football
Birds,
team. Sometimes you just got to say, shut up. Let's go with the better team.
My main note.
The U is suspect. Facts.
Both are basically 5-5 against the spread this season. So it's very up in the air.
I mean, this is almost a pick 'em. I mean, if it ends up being a 1-point game, what are we going to do about that, right?
That's going to suck. That was literally going to suck. All right, well, on to game 2, and this one's kind of a pick 'em too. After a wild one outside Seattle, the Utes head to Arizona at Tucson, I believe, or just outside Tucson, or maybe Scottsdale. Maybe Scottsdale. I don't know where.
I believe it's Tucson.
Tucson's? I'm not sure. I don't know. But the Utes are favored on the road in Arizona by 1.5. This is such an interesting matchup. Utah was really rolling. No Cam Rising this season. They ended up being at home, big game against Oregon, and get punched in the face. And then they bounce back. And then last week, up and down game against Washington. I thought Utah might actually win that game at some point, but then they just didn't. Unfortunately, they did cover, which we discussed beforehand. But, I mean, Arizona is really looking like they're making a name right now for themselves. Winning 4 straight. 3 of them are against ranked opponents. They're 7-3 overall, 5-2 in conference play. I mean, the team is Arizona for once in a long time is not a team to take lightly right now in the Pac-12.
No, and Jed Fish has done a remarkable job turning that program around. They've been really impressive this year. They have not been a pushover. I don't think a lot of people expected much from Arizona, but they've been very solid. I mean, you're seeing it now. Like you said, 4 in a row. At the beginning of the year, I'm sure the spread was probably
like minus
double digits
7,
favoring Utah. It's just a 1.5 now. So Arizona's done a really nice job this season just performing to a level where no one really anticipated they would be at. Now, the concern for Arizona, their pass defense, it's not great. That is the big thing. They can stop the run, but at what point do you say, all right, Bryson Barnes, go get us the win? I mean, Utah's offense has been very solid. I really feel like they're the most, if not one of the top battle-tested teams in the country. I mean, they've had a brutal schedule. They've gone through it from start to finish. Maybe they're a little worn out. I don't know. I mean, that was a tough game against Washington, but Washington isn't really the type of team that's going to out-physical you, right? They're not going to make you tired the next week.
They'll just be outscore you.
Right. So I feel like I don't know. I feel like I got to go back to the well with Utah here, but Arizona is such a tricky team, and they've been so resilient and feisty and scrappy. I'm just going to do it for fun here. I'm going to take the Wildcats here. I'm going to go with Arizona. They are home. They've had a lot of success this season, and while their pass defense is not great, they can stop the run. I think Jed Fish gets it done. Another big win at home. He might not be Arizona for long. I mean, Texas A&M might be calling. Michigan State might be calling. Who knows where he ends up? But he's done a really nice job at Arizona, and I think he gets another signature win at home. So give me the Wildcats plus 1.5.
Yeah, you talk about the Arizona defense, right, in the passing game. Utah's 118th at throwing the ball offensively.
Not the best. Their strength is running the football, but Bryson Barnes has looked. He's looked better.
He's looked all right, yeah. But the huge thing is that they're 16th in scoring defense. So
the defense is nice.
Arizona at home, if they can control the game well, if they can play smart ball and just make stops when they need to, they should be able to play. Have it be a solid game. I don't think this is a blowout on either side. Because even I said how Utah's 16th in scoring defense. They've been averaging and only allowing just over 16 points per game. But Arizona's has averaged over 32 points per game in the past 3. So it's really just a battle of the offense versus defense. So it will truly be, in my opinion, it'll be Utah's offense versus Arizona's defense that is kind of the big determination of this game.
Right.
I love my Utes. But I think I'm going to hop on the Wildcat train with you.
I love that. And you know what? A bit of a correlation here. 2 teams that are kind of like Utah, but not really. Oregon State and UCLA.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona beat both of them. 27-24 against Oregon State, and then 27-10 over UCLA. Both those games were at home. So you get a similar style team coming into your barn.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen success against those kinds of teams. I think this is a good spot for Arizona. I do. And if you want to know where the public's at on them,
probably on Utah.
It's 50-50, 52-48 lean in Arizona. So no huge lean here. The public is kind of like us right now. We could see it going one way, but we're going to ride out the Wildcats. So
big lean.
I love that. I mean, we've been in lockstep with a lot of these picks lately, and it's been marvelous.
Yeah, and we've been doing good.
We've been doing solid.
Yeah, solid. All right. On to Game 3. Go Wildcats. Game 3. Georgia goes now on the road to Knoxville. Georgia on the road favored by 10.5, man. They just keep maintaining this 10 range, it seems like.
Yeah.
After everyone started, they hyped up on that train and they messed up that 14.5 or whatever, or 15 that they had a couple weeks ago. But, man, interesting game. Georgia comes off a beatdown of Ole Miss at home, and Tennessee just came off of a beatdown on the road at Missouri. I mean, will they be okay at home? Georgia back at 1 in the college football playoff rankings. I don't know what to say, man. You'd think one way, and it's just like, I don't know.
I have to keep this short and sweet because if I talk about it any more than I will, I'm going to switch my pick, and I'm going to be a terrible, terrible host for the listeners. This is Tennessee plus 10.5 every single day of the week, and here's why. No one is on Tennessee. They just got destroyed against Missouri. Now it's just a 10.5 point spread. Georgia's coming off a massive win, right? This is where you take the team that looks ratty, ugly, gross, grotesque, any adjective that symbolizes a sewer rat, you put on Tennessee here, and you take them and you close your eyes and hope it doesn't fail. I'm on the Volunteers here, plus 10.5. It's ugly, it's gross, I know. Trust me, I don't love making this pick, but it's what you have to do. Vegas would be on their knees asking you to take Georgia here, right? Because that's what they want. They want you to take Georgia. Don't fall into the trap. Take Tennessee. That is all.
Tennessee's been interesting, They put together a 6-3 record against the spread this year. Georgia's been crazy though because they've covered 3 times in 10 chances against the spread this season, which is weird. But I guess it makes sense when we look back on it. These past rematches have been beatdowns by Georgia. Let's be real here. Tennessee's been outscored by 38 points the past 2 meetings. I know what you're saying. It's a recipe for a little cover, that lose by 10, right?
Something like that.
Maybe less. A little suspect on the road. You know me, I love me some Vols. And I love some hottie toddy.
Mm-hmm.
And what they do last week got murked. Both sides of the ball.
They did.
Playing in Athens is a huge thing. We know that. Especially for this Georgia team. Brock Bowers might be back. We don't know.
He's back last week.
So then you go. I didn't even know that. I was just
Yeah.
I just threw that up in there. So he's playing. He might hate me for this one, but I'm picking the Dogs.
I don't hate you for it, man.
Taking the Dogs on the road. Trust them more. Sorry, Joe Milton. Good luck on a practice squad in the NFL. You had a good run. We'll just see how it goes, man. Maybe we'll get a third string spot. We'll see how it goes. But
You're on Georgia.
This is a big one. To me, this is a big one still. Even though I'm on Georgia, this is a big one. This game can't be just taken lightly. You're going on the road to Knoxville still. That's still a crazy place to play.
Yeah.
Even though we've seen in the past, it's normally pretty Georgia favored. But I feel like they didn't even play last year in my mind. Did they? I feel like they didn't. I don't know. Anyway, we're done with this. You wanted
They played last year.
You want it short and sweet. I don't even remember it. That's how much it just didn't matter to me.
It was when Tennessee got ranked number 1. They came into Athens and they got their doors blown off.
I picked Tennessee.
Yeah, and I told you don't do it.
And you picked the Dogs.
Yeah.
Now we're opposite. How the turntables.
How the turntables.
All right, on to game 4. We're past it. I like this one, but I'm a little scared at the same time. The boys, the Wildcats, baby. In-state game. Wildcats head over to Kansas on the road, I guess.
Well, yeah, from Manhattan to Lawrence.
The Wildcats favored by 9.5 in Lawrence.
Yeah. God, I hate to keep it short and sweet again, but I have to. I mean, this number is way too big. That's why you take it. A 9.5 point favorite on the road makes no sense. To me, you got 2 injuries at the QB for Kansas. Jalen Daniels and Jason Bean both hurt, right? They're both banged up. I don't even really care. Kansas State has played better football as of late. They had that heartbreaker against Texas. They should have won that game.
Absolutely.
They didn't. So to me, I know Kansas had some nice wins, but you're really without your quarterback here. I mean, the luck there has been horrible. Kansas plays tough, but they want to run the football. Kansas State's. I feel like they got the formula here to just kind of walk in and take care of business. So while I don't love Will Howard as much as I did maybe last year.
He doesn't have Deuce Vaughn anymore, so
I'm gonna still take Kansas State here minus 9.5. They're only giving up 4.2 yards per carry. I think they can get it done. So I'm gonna go with K-State big on the road. This number's weird to me, so I'm gonna rock with it.
It is pretty weird, Kansas State's covered 8 times in 10 matchups with the spread this season. Well, Kansas has been 5-5, which is very. They've had some big wins, but at the end of the day, how much is that going to be of value, right? Kansas State 2-0 record in the past 2. They cover the spread in the past 2. Kansas State's put up 82 points compared to 37 for Kansas on the road. If one of their QBs was healthy, I think there would be a lot more favoritism, a lot more love for Kansas. But on the road, we go. We take the Wildcats to victory.
I love it.
Sorry, Kansas.
And I know that Kansas is coming off a loss to Texas Tech, right? So you might be thinking up-down theory here. Kansas is going to have a bounce-back spot. But sometimes when you're down, you got a banged-up QB. I mean, Jason Bean might play, but it's not,
It's so tough.
We saw it with Riley Leonard, right? Wasn't 100%. The team wasn't the same. He couldn't make the same plays. Bean relies on his legs, too. It's just going to be very difficult for me to see a pathway for Kansas to keep up with K-State in this one.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, no quarterback. Even if you had one of them, it'd be a huge difference. But yeah, when you have your backup and he might barely play in injury formation,
right.
It's not going to turn out well for you. Because Will Howard's going to be fine. Because even Texas beat down Kansas, right, early on, and Kansas State almost beat them on the road.
Yeah.
So you can't count out Kansas State. So.
No, certainly. And they seems like they play their best ball like right in November.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's just kind of how it's been with Chris Kleiman. That team is just vibing right now.
Do the roar. Ooh.
Game 5.
Run it.
The big game of the week.
Corvallis.
Get the chainsaws ready.
Rev him up. I can't believe game day's not here. Neither can Pat McAfee. Shout out him. They'll be at James Madison. But game 5, Washington Huskies on the road in Corvallis at Oregon State. Beavers favored -1.5 at home. Big game for both teams. Washington trying to stay undefeated, get that Pac-12 championship lock. Oregon State's still in the mix for the Pac-12 championship.
Yeah, and this is a brutal place to play. Corvallis is a nightmare. This is a night game. I mean, the chain gang's going to be out, dude. It's going to be an electric atmosphere. And this Oregon State team, coached by Jonathan Smith, with that defense, they're going to make life a living hell for Michael Penix. There's no way that this Washington Husky team rolls into Corvallis and gets this done. I just don't believe it. Now, you might differ. You're going to give a bit more objective reasoning here. But I'm all in on the Beavers, dude. I have to be. This team is fun. They're electric. They've had a couple of tough losses mixed into their Pac-12 schedule, but you know what? They're built for moments like this. We saw Utah roll into Corvallis a couple, it was really like a month or two ago at this point now, but they rolled into Utah rolled into Corvallis, and they couldn't move the football at all. Now, obviously, you got a better offense in Washington, but
they don't have a better defense.
I'm sorry. I don't think anyone boasts the defense that Oregon State does, especially at home.
It's going to be a quick night show with a late time when the sun's down at 5 o'clock. Kickoffs at 4:30. You already know.
It's going to be
4 o'clock.
It's going to be madness. So, give me the Beavers -1.5. It's going to be electric out there, and I cannot wait to watch. It's going to be awesome. There's just no way I can back Penix in this one. I'm sorry, I can't. The show's over. They're going to lose this game. The Beavers, big, -1.5.
So let's look at things. That Washington defense. See, Washington, what you were hoping probably for this season from USC is what Washington is doing currently. Cruising by with their offense, and their defense is just doing enough, right? Just enough. But also the offense is able to score just enough, so it kind of, allows the Washington defense to have a little more off of them. But, I mean, both these teams, against the spread this season, not too big of a deal. Split record in the past 2. I mean, Penix is playing good ball, man, but his turnovers have been too consistent over the past, 4 or 5 games. I don't know if he had a turnover last week. I know he had like an interception in the past 4 games before that. So, I mean, and you're talking about playing teams with way less defensive, strategy, strength, and everything compared to the Oregon State. And you're going on the road to their stadium, and you're going to get hit by chainsaws in the face? I mean, it's crazy. This is the game that can define DJU.
Right.
If he plays good ball, literally, if he plays good ball, there's no reason why this Oregon State team can't get it done.
I agree.
Even by a touchdown, even 10. Like, that's how
the football.
That's exactly, yeah.
Get 7, not 3. I mean, I agree. Penix is going to turn the ball over. I mean, Oregon State is going to make that happen. I mean, they're going to get to him. They're going to cause pressure. They're going to blitz. They're going to be in his face.
They're going to rattle him,
They're going to disguise. They're going to do a lot to make Penix's life miserable. And it's just about that offense capitalizing on those mistakes, right? If you get the ball at the 40, you better go and put it in the end zone, right? You got to capitalize on the mistakes that the defense is going to force in this one for sure.
And you can't let Penix keep getting redemptions and you putting up nothing.
Right.
You can't do that. You have to take advantage of the turnovers. Huge deal. It's just crazy, If that offensive line doesn't hold up, because that's a savage defensive line at Oregon State. I mean, the depth goes back very far, but that's a dangerous front 4. So they're going to be feeding, and if they can't protect Penix, it's going to be a long day in Corvallis. I'm on the Beavers.
Let's go.
I'm on the Beavers.
The chainsaws are out.
I know.
STJ's got their chainsaws ready.
That'd be cool. I should have got some toy ones. Just like...
But I do feel like, and if you're looking at this just from an objective standpoint, Vegas is telling you Oregon State is going to win this game just by the spread. they're favored at home against a team that's undefeated. That says enough.
It's true, and I think unfortunately, I love Washington. I love the Utah. That was the T-shirt game last week. Both have been disappointing me, and I'm going against both of them this week, which is crazy to think how the season started, man. It's crazy to think that, but I think it's time. It's time for Washington to get that loss. They arguably, should have lost to Oregon at home those weeks ago. But if they somehow pull it off, it's going to be an interesting matchup in that Pac-12 championship. Because the thing is, even if they lose, there's still a shot because it'll be a big game next week. But Oregon State heads to Autzen to play Oregon, so that's going to be a huge game. So a lot still riding on these last two games for pretty much the entire Pac-12, honestly. These two next weeks, this game and then that game next week. Oregon State could single-handedly change the entire Pac-12 in 2 weeks. But go Beavers.
Enough said. Let's run it down. Starting from game 1. Louisville on the road to Miami, taking on the Hurricanes. The Cardinals favored 1.5. Me and Justin both on Louisville. Let's get it done, boys. Game 2, Utah heads to Arizona. Utah favored on the road, but me and Justin are taking the Wildcats plus 1.5. Jed Fish, we got you, my man. Game 3, this is where me and Justin differ. He's on the Dogs minus 10.5. I'm on the Volunteers plus 10.5. Rocky Top, let's see it.
Hopefully
Game 4.
Repeat of last week.
The battle for Kansas.
Woo!
Kansas State on the road to KU. Me and Justin both on the Wildcats.
Because they have a
minus
quarterback.
9.5. And then Game 5, Corvallis, the destination for the greatest game of the world. I'm playing, but Washington, we're not on them.
Mm-mm.
Sorry. I cannot stand Penix. We're on the Beavers, minus 1.5. And those are your Week 12 picks. Wow.
Love it. Week 12, man.
It's crazy.
Only one more week of the regular season left. Can you believe it?
We got the game next week.
Mm-hmm.
I need to find some Ohio State merch.
Oh, my gosh. I don't even know. That's disgusting, dude.
Go Bucks.
Look at that. You might as well get a helmet.
I might. Maybe I will.
If you do, I don't. That's just disrespectful.
Maybe I will get an Ohio State.
That's disrespectful, dude. The Spartan Nation, they should disown you.
Whatever.
Or do you feel like you have the right to disown them?
I have the right to disown them.
All is fair in love and war.
It's true. It's very true.
All right. We love this game. Lots of war this week. Big games. We'll catch you next one. Peace.